Okay, hi everybody. As promised, we are here tonight with a special guest, Carter Nakamoto, who was in person at the Boston Book Tour event for The Sun and the Star. I'm your co-host, Erica, and we're really excited to hear all about this. This is an episode for if you really, really want to know what happened and you can't get to a book tour, or if you really want to spoil what happens and you're going to Atlanta or San Fran or something, and you want to just spoil it for yourself, go ahead. But again, this is here for you whenever you want. We won't be talking about the book yet because Carter hasn't read it, and we are going
Four
to be very
chapters
careful
in.
about spoils. Okay.
Yeah, long bus ride to get back home.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Carter, it's so lovely to have you here. Tell us a little bit about what motivated you to attend this book tour.
I think I a priori wanted to go, but I
Good,
was
good.
reminded of it a lot when Erica was visiting Boston most recently.
Yes.
And it was also just after I had broken my knee.
Carter
So I
broke their
was
knee.
sitting on the couch, hearing about the book tour, and I was like, damn, let me see if I can get a ticket that is suitable for somebody who has a broken knee. And I got one.
Mhm.
And that I would say about 40% worked out. Um,
Good. 40% is good. Good.
yeah, worked
No,
out
it's
better than it
not. It's
does
not
at my
good.
workplace.
Sure. So tell us, was it okay, before you dive in to the play-by-play, did you have fun? Did
Oh,
it rock?
yeah. I had a phenomenal time. I was a little apprehensive about it going in because when I got off the bus, the line was really, really long to get in.
Good to know.
I got
Yeah.
there like after 7 when the event started. And for those of you who know anything about Central Medford Square, um, it went from the Chevalier all the way to actual the central intersection. I don't know. This is like a broader New England thing. If any of you know New England, you know that when they say a square, what they mean is a terrible intersection of like 5 to 6 roads with
Oh,
like
good.
2 stoplights that are just rife with fatalities and bicycle injuries and just the rudest, most like anti-humanistic driving that you've ever seen. So it was going the line stretched from the theater to there and then around the corner again by this like vintage ice cream place or something. It was a long ass line, but the people were excited. A lot of merch I saw on the line, a lot of people in costume,
Yay! What did you wear, Carter?
audience participation. I don't know if I mentioned this, but I broke my knee. So my outfits have been very uninspired. This is kind of the
That's
only thing going
okay.
on in my life right now, is having a broken knee.
It's
Um,
hard.
it's very time consuming. And I just don't
Yeah.
think about other
Knees are
things.
important.
I feel like one could generously say that I did a light Nico cosplay in the sense that I was wearing
You
a
were
black
injured
leather jacket
and sad.
and I was sad and like angry and didn't talk to anybody and had my earbuds in line. I was like, oh my god, this is ugh. I almost tripped on a child on my way to get my spot in line, but
Exactly.
I didn't trip on a child. I'm pro children. It was lovely to see all
Good.
the children there, their parents
Oh,
as
that's
well,
so cute.
the future, also the past. Shout out to all you other old people who were there as well. That was cool. I
Yeah.
met 3 people who stopped me at various points, 2 as they were leaving the theater, and 1 literally as we were transferring at Sullivan Square off of the 95 bus. Who are like, oh my god,
Oh,
love the podcast.
wow.
Um,
Carter, what does it feel
so
like to
shout out
be
to those people.
famous?
It's literally so wild because I like don't do any of the work for this, but I feel like I've been recognized for the podcast so many times.
Carter is literally
Um,
so recognizable. I literally asked Liam, who is a former guest on this podcast, if anybody stopped him, and he was said no. So
Liam is
literally
so recognizable. Liam is like
six
very
foot four.
tall. I was like wearing an
No, for
outfit and
real.
everything. Um,
Oh, yeah, he did show up in a suit. But yeah, no, Carter, you are recognizable. Good
Not
for
even by
you.
my voice these times too. I was like sitting silently with a mask on, reading a book.
Nico Core.
Oh my god. Anyway, the vibes are good. There was a lot of
Yeah.
audience participation. Um, Mark and Rick seem to be having a good time
Oh,
at a
I
high
heard there was a
level.
presentation.
Glad I went. Yes, it was a PowerPoint.
That's so
I
special. They had a PowerPoint party for The Sun and the Star.
yes, like put together by
Good.
the editor. There was a
That's
lot of
queer
art.
culture.
I feel like I. It's so embarrassing. I was sitting not close enough for the pictures to be good, but I took them, and I have them, and they're on the camera roll. And
I
I might
posted some of
post
them
some
already.
really awful pictures of my terrible seat on
Oh.
the screen. That's some Nico and Will fan art that I just showed Erica on my phone.
Aw.
That was on the screen. There is the classic Viria Nico fan art. It was also on the screen.
Interesting choice to use the Viria fan art.
Rick stuck to his guns. I feel
I
like
guess it's technically still the official one, but I thought they
Becky
would use
made a
Alessia.
cameo. I
Becky
don't
made a
believe
cameo?
I do really know what the Alessia art looks like now, and I do not believe that they showed it
Okay.
as part of the PowerPoint presentation. They did show Mark's original art. They showed a photograph of Mark at age 19.
Oh my god, stop it being a total, like,
They
punk era
have a
emo.
nose ring. There's liner. There is, I want to
A
say, a
mohawk?
mohawk.
Nice. That's
There was
iconic.
also an image of Rick at maybe age 22 with past shoulder length
With the
hair that I was not
yes,
able to
hippie Rick.
photograph. They only flashed it for like 3 seconds. I was so overwhelmed and I was not able to capture it. There was a full ass PowerPoint. It's true. Um, what can we say about this? Most of the PowerPoint. Oh, okay. So the broad setup of the event was that the two of them were sitting on stage being interviewed by. I don't know if this is going to be true for all the stops. At the Boston stop, at least, they were being interviewed by their mutual editor, who is also how they met. Like
Stephanie interviewed them?
Stephanie interviewed them.
Oh
That's
my
correct. But
god, I am
Stephanie
a
interviewed them
massive Stephanie fan.
in character as literally this is the wild part is that I got my copy of the book at the event. So Stephanie was in character as somebody who nobody knew because it was a
Who?
character that was
Which
new to the
character?
book. The blue-haired riddle asker.
Gorgira?
Yes. There we go. That's the
Gorge
name.
Ira. I don't know how to say it, but I was reading it Gorge Ira.
I believe that is how they pronounce it on stage as well. It
Wait, that's
looks like
stunning.
maybe they pre-planned the bit, but Stephanie also it wasn't just a bit. They committed the entire time. Stephanie was never out of character on stage.
Oh my god, I
Wig,
literally love her. She's my freaking
dress,
hero.
accent. She was doing an accent the whole time, and I don't know that I could place the accent. Um, I want
Good
to
for
say
her.
a
Dropped in.
garbled combination of Italian and transatlantic and Professor Trelawney. Um
Oh, good, good. For people who don't know Stephanie Lurie, she is the I really don't want to misquote this, senior editor, I want to say, at Disney Hyperion. She oversees everything, not just that Rick writes, but all of the Rick Riordan Presents books. Obviously, there are other editors who work underneath her, but she is truly an extremely important component to getting these books in our hands and establishing the world of the Riordanverse. She rocks. You can follow her on social media. S.O. Lurie.
the event began basically with Stephanie again in character, in costume, asking a bunch of high-level questions about the book that it was expected that all the fans would have. What is the book about? Who is Nico? Who is Will? Why do you have a co-author? What is a co-author? What is the process like of collaborating between the two of you?
Yes.
So we got all of these backstories. Mark told the story of the first time they read all of Rick's books,
Oh.
which was on an ebook on tour. And we got like the whole process of them beginning to collaborate. Rick said that he had this idea and that he reached out to Stephanie to see if she had any recommendations for who a good queer co-author might be. And Stephanie, I believe, was previously also editing Mark, I think she
Mhm.
said. So she
They had
recommended
worked on a
them.
project together that, like, fell through, I believe,
Oh,
and that's how they knew each other.
interesting,
Mark
interesting.
tweeted
Okay.
about that today. Yeah.
This process also is very interesting to me where they made Mark sign an NDA and
Mhm.
they basically had Mark audition, it sounds like. Like
Yeah,
they
they
had to
had Mark
turn
write
in a
an
draft of like
excerpt,
the
yeah.
first 5 chapters.
Mhm.
Um
Based on the
that is
outline Rick had already written.
correct, correct. I feel like that's really wild.
I think that makes sense.
Like conceptually I understand auditioning, but
Yeah.
I feel like with writing and filming and editing and stuff, the idea of an audition where your work product is something that is immediately usable and presentable, I think it's really fascinating. There's been a lot of discourse about when that is
Mm.
appropriate and like what kind of a labor practice that is. There was
Oh,
also a Rick shout out to the WGA because he is now a member of the WGA.
right.
So we
I was gonna
got
say we should
our
probably
union
talk
information.
and mention
Um,
that. Yeah.
it was somebody in the audience asked basically, is this going to delay the second season? Which
They did
was an
audience
interesting
questions?
way of asking this. They were like pre-screened, like audience index card
Oh.
questions, which I was not able to
Right, right, right.
access because I used the elevator and that's not where they kept the index cards. But
Wow.
some of the audience questions were good. Wow, I'm okay. I was taking copious notes the whole time. I'm gonna read off some quotes here.
Do it.
Mark said that when they were thinking about wanting the project, they said, quote, basically it's all about the colored sticky notes. I don't know if anyone has seen the images. I believe they've posted these to social media
Literally,
of Mark's
yes.
copies of the books, color
Yes.
coded sticky notes, a la Michelle Yeoh. Yeah, they said I think they're gonna release the color coding at some point soon and
Oh my god,
otherwise try to
cute. That's so
explain what's going
cute.
on there. Mark also said, quote, I was young Mexican Nico in my young goth punk rock phase. That
Exactly
was to
that.
go with a picture of 19-year-old Mark.
Yes, exactly that. So true.
Yeah, it was nice to see other people all like headcanoning Nico as their non-white ethnicity, even though Nico's like very certainly very Italian, but
Japanese?
also not.
Oh. Sure, 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 sure.
Mark, okay, I didn't know about this. I don't know how much of this Mark tweeted. Um, I like read like a bunch of Mark's Twitter feed before this. Some of those things were echoed. Mark did make a big statement at the end about how much they felt grateful to the fandom and said specifically that they thought that this was a unique community online experience and that they have a folder on their phone of screenshots in the first 3 days after the collaboration was announced and all
Aw.
the cute gay memes that people sent them.
It's us, we're people.
I really hope that we're one of them. Damn. What did Mark say? Mark took credit for specific things. There was an interesting, like, Mark was so reverent of Rick throughout this whole
Yeah,
thing and could not say enough nice things about them. But also, they
yeah.
were like taking credit for some things, which
Good.
I was in favor of. I appreciated it. Mark specifically said that some things, the Eternae, and they also said the flashback scene. If any of you have
Yeah.
your physical copy of the book,
It's the big chunk
we're
of
gonna
gray
spoil it.
pages.
There's like a black chunk
Don't
right in the
spoil it,
middle that you
Carter.
can
Don't
see
spoil
on
it.
the outside. That chunk is Mark's idea.
Great.
Um, yes. Mark also named one of the trogs, and they gave this name.
His Majesty.
His Majesty apparently was
His Majesty.
Mark's idea. Rick made a hand heart at one point to Mark
Aw.
during the event, exactly like that. Listeners, because this is not a visual medium, the hand heart is
Thumb to
it
thumb,
is the
fingers to fingers.
thumb to thumb, curled fingers to curled fingers in the way that you like, an idol wouldn't do it. It's like
Uh-huh.
very like, yeah, Rick Riordan, if he were to do a hand art, he would do that one.
That's
But
so lovely. I'd love to hear that. I'm sure somebody got a
it was
picture.
nice for him. Rick said, "quote Fox, who made the Peter Johnson movies."
Oh my god.
He
Now
was really
that's some
on
tea.
one.
He literally
Um,
said the Peter Johnson movies. He said, "Don't come at me, Fox. You didn't read my letters."
so yeah, the format
Good.
of the event in the beginning was like a Q&A structured around the book with slides of different art to ask questions like why is Mark a good co-author? Why would you have a co-author? What was the impetus for the book? Um uh did anything get added to the original outline after it was made? There was a screenshot of the original outline that was a part of the PowerPoint. Um
Cool.
but then eventually they switched. Oh, this was cool. I hope they post this. I hope they should post the slideshow on the internet. It's like 2023.
Maybe they
Um
will after the last tour
Post the
date,
slides.
which is
You
like
got to post the
Friday.
slides. That's just
Yeah.
common educational courtesy. Um, they have this cute little image of all of the different monsters that are important to the book that they put on a slide. And Mark got up and walked around the back of the seating area and was pointing at them and saying things about their
Aww.
backstories and gave us this whole backstory specifically about their personal relationship to the Eternae because of I want to say an English teacher in elementary school or middle school who had them read Alexander the Great's diaries,
Wow,
which is
that's
how
really
they know
cool.
about these. And they were like, "Yeah, these are not part of the modern canon of retellings of
Ooh, something new.
the Greco-Roman tradition." Yeah. They also did the same thing where they like this was really giving gay people slideshow party, where they showed Mark's original doodles. So if you have a physical copy of the book, the what do you call them? The insets? If you like flip open the cover on either end,
Mhm.
there is something that looks kind of like a wallpaper,
A
but
map.
it's kind of a map, but it's also not because it's really not to scale. It's just a
It's
series
like
of
an
arrows
adventure
drawn
map.
connecting physical events
Yeah.
slash experiences that they
Uh-huh.
have throughout the journey. And that came out of Mark's draft, but the draft is like
Wow.
very bad. Like not bad content wise, but bad in the sense that Mark
Oh, it's
cannot
adorable.
draw, and they were very emphatic
It's
about that. And there are
adorable.
all these labels saying, "This is a Draken. Make it nice." Or there's like a
Oh.
stick figure of a woman, and it says parentheses Persephone. Imagine she's pretty. Um,
Oh. That's so
it was very
lovely.
cute. And then we got to eventually. I think Rick structures all of his events this way. There is basically the Rick broader universe sideshow updates, trade show, shareholders convention.
Yes, the
Um,
Disney shareholders convention,
literally,
the
it's like
D23 of it
D23,
all.
but for Rick.
Okay, so Rick
Uh,
didn't announce a Hunter's Talia Reyna novel, I'm guessing, because I would have heard about that by now.
okay, yes, you would have heard about it by now.
Oh,
Listeners,
bummer.
as you remember, we got the Sign of the Star announcement at the Daughter of the Deep book tour on
We were
Zoom,
there on Carter's
and
sofa.
everyone, yes, on the sofa in this apartment. So like you probably heard about it immediately. It was all over Twitter. If you're scrolling Twitter, if you have been scrolling Twitter at any point in the past 12 hours, you probably realized that we have not had an equivalent announcement, but there were still updates on things. He first of all went through all the RP stuff. Delightful.
Yay! I love getting the RRP update at every Riot event now, it's so exciting.
Yeah, he does a good job pitching them, and you can definitely tell. I was really heartwarmed to see that some of the kids in the audience really seem to have reactions before. Like some people in the audience were like really responding to his pitches, like, "Oh, I haven't heard of this before. That sounds cool. I'm gonna go check out some of these books."
Oh, yeah, kids are impressionable.
But that's the thing, it's like some of the kids were definitely the other way, where like some of the books like, okay, I don't know if this is like a shady thing to say. Some of the books got bigger screams than others, which to me is
Mm,
indicating that some of those kids were like, yeah, I read the first two books, and
yeah.
this is the one that I'm excited for.
Oh, yeah,
Shout out Gracie.
definitely.
Gracie, the people were waiting. The people were demanding.
She is literally famous. Guys, we are literally talking to Gracie in like 9 days, so get very excited for our The Last Fallen Realm episode. I'm literally reading it right now. No
Yes,
spoilers.
me as well. I'm very excited for that.
She's my hero.
Rick gave us a special insight specifically I did not know into Rashani Chakshi's new project. Rashani, you will
Filipino
know,
heritage,
yes, the new project about
folklore,
Filipino heritage, but you'll know Rashani from the Arusha books, which
which
are
are also
about
very popular
very, very popular. Yeah, the
and
crowd
complete
went
now.
wild. Yeah, complete the original RP books, as you may or may not remember.
Mhm.
Anyway, that was really exciting. Rick did that. He went through all of those. He gave us the adaptation updates. I guess that was maybe the news, but he didn't have any, it was maybe less exciting because he wasn't announcing anything that we didn't already know was in some stage of progress. So he gave us basically updates on Kane. On Kane, he said they are in the fifth round of screenplay edits and things, but they haven't officially signed the contract yet. But it's into development with Netflix, which I think people already knew for a feature
Yeah,
film
we knew that.
adaptation.
Mhm.
One film per book. They're working through the Red Pyramid right now, but it's not like set in stone yet. What else did he talk about? He talked about Daughter of the Deep. He said he just turned in the first screenplay draft of that, and this is interesting. The screenplay draft is with a co-author,
Yeah.
Aditi Brennan Kapil. This was, in fact, already announced literally 2 years ago. But the announcement, I guess, is that I didn't know that there was going to be a co-writer for the screenplay. The announcement is that the screenplay draft is done and submitted to Disney Plus. Um,
Cool.
and Rick also said, okay, I guess this was maybe the big announcement. The people, as you would imagine, went wild when he put up his little slide. The slideshow is going all the time, by the way. There's a slide for every RP book. There's a slide for every
PowerPoint party.
adaptation project, PowerPoint party. The final slide was for the Disney Plus TV adaptation,
Yeah.
as you might expect.
Uh-huh.
And the update is that Rick has screened a first cut of all of the episodes.
Oh my god.
Isn't that
Whoa.
that's like a big deal.
I mean, we knew
He
that
there
Becky
is
had
a
seen
huge
some things, but
there's a
that is
huge
wild.
caveat that the special effects aren't done yet. So they're it's early
Obviously, yeah.
stages. Let me read a quote so that I don't mischaracterize what happened here. What did he say? There were 6 months of principal photography for them. He said he is quote relieved. That was his primary reaction when
Oh,
seeing
they're not gonna Peter Johnson it.
quote, I think you guys will be really pleased. I'm
Oh.
excited. We're on track. Um, what else was there to say? He did that, and then his final update was about Chalice of the Gods. Um,
Great.
but it wasn't really an
Cannot
update
wait.
because we knew about that. And he basically just like gave a rundown of the premise again, gave a rundown of the backstory of the book again, which, as you may or may not remember, was basically a negotiating tactic as they were trying to gear up for the Disney Plus series, where he he really cannot stop himself from continuing to shade the execs at Disney and Fox.
Good,
I
as he
did
should
not
not.
know that he I mean, this is, I guess, the man behind Persassi, but, like, he really was
Literally
like
Persassi. He himself is Persassi. That's literally that is his voice.
he was like, "Yeah, I had to remind them that they own the intellectual property." They were so surprised. But it was like, "Did you know that you literally published me?"
It's giving Richard. Richard, Richard, Richard.
They did say okay, Becky showed up. That was very exciting. Becky made an
Yeah,
appearance on stage.
that's so exciting.
Apparently, Becky said that, the new book is very influenced by Mark's writing style.
Yes.
They
Oh
didn't
my
really
god,
elaborate about what that
that
meant
is
other than
something
that
I
I think, like you said,
observed.
like, emotional. You
Yes,
observed
that is
it
something
in
I violently felt as far as the structure of the book as well as the content, that it was highly influenced by Mark's personal style.
no, what they meant for Chalice. They were saying,
Oh,
like,
for
Chalice
Chalice.
is, like, very impacted by the experience of
What?
having collaborated with Mark, according to Becky. Apparently, that's what Becky said after reading the draft.
And what Becky says is law, so that's amazing.
We got a little tidbit that the last 5 lines of The Sun and the Star have been the last 5 lines since the first draft that Mark wrote. That's kind of intriguing. I'm very curious. Oh, okay. This is actual tea. So I think this is actual tea. To me, this was news. Somebody asked, one of the audience questions was, when did you know that Nico was gay? Um,
Whoa, that's a really good question.
That's tea, right? I feel like we're constantly having this discussion. Somebody just asked. Rick said, quote, okay, this is not, I shouldn't quote this. I tried to type this down, but I was typing on my phone. Rick basically said, I knew Nico was gay since the Battle of the Labyrinth, and that Percy was clearly
Mm,
very important to him. But he
mm,
also said, I didn't know everything he was going through at the time, but also neither did he. He also said,
yeah.
relatedly, I think Nico was trying to come out to me as we were going through those
Oh
books.
my god, yeah. That makes perfect sense.
And then Mark was like, I always knew Nico was gay.
Ah! Period! Period!
I knew it from the Myth
Period.
of Magic cards.
From the jump, from the aviator jacket and that messy, messy haircut and the Myth of Magic cards, and that's why what Mark says is law.
Mark also gave an interesting tidbit, which totally 100% makes sense. But they said basically that somebody asked them what was difficult about writing the books, and they mostly said writing Will for them was the
Yes.
hard part
I know
because
that
they were like,
Mark
I am
mentioned
Nico. I understand
yes,
Nico. I everything about this, but he was like, I don't
yes.
know. Like, I'm not Will, and I. What else did they say about that? They were also saying like Will is in an environment where he is not skilled and has no experience, and he is not meant to be.
Oh, I can't
So
wait to
they were
talk
like,
about that, y'all.
how do I like make Will somebody who is not necessarily in generally useless, but like is very much contextually not in his element and struggling
Yeah.
and
I
not
know Mark put in that tweet thread, that Becky was really helpful in early on Mark trying to
yes.
figure out how
They
to write
also said
Will.
that on stage. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um oh my god, what else did they say? Okay, I'm gonna read basically
Last minute
a
things. Go
quote.
ahead and just read them, Carter.
This is from Mark. There are very few stories. This is like paraphrasing. There are very few stories about being in a relationship and putting in the work to stay in a relationship in middle grade books. We wanted to treat Nico and Will the same as Percy and Annabeth, the same attention and love and respect. It's an exploration of what it means to stay together. Relationships are never easy, but they don't have to be hard. This is a book where these two understand each other more as it goes on. But also, it's important that we wanted to feature platonic relationships that are and should be on the same level. This was in response to an audience question about how they depicted the relationship and what takeaways people are supposed to have after reading the book.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I feel that. I feel that very deeply. There are Percabeth parallels.
Yes. That was the line that really got me. Where it was like they basically said like they deserve the same respect and treatment and attention.
Wow, and how did you feel about that, Carter?
I was like, "What? That's like very profound." Which I mean, like literally, this is a book where we're following the two of them through Tartarus. Like
The book itself is a parallel
it's built
to the
into the
House of Movies.
project.
Yeah, it's
Um,
true.
and it's very appropriate. Mark also okay. This is very iconic. This is probably the last thing we're gonna say about this. Um, there was a question about godly parents, and Mark said, "I have two godly parents." Isn't that iconic? They said, "I'm an Olympian."
I have an Olympic. What? Wait, what were Mark's godly parents?
They said Hades and Mr. D, not Dionysus, Mr. D.
Wait, that is
Isn't
that
that
makes
hilarious and
perfect
iconic?
sense. That you don't
Nico's
even need to
dad and
it
Nico's
literally
kind of foster adopted dad slash therapist.
literally makes perfect sense. That is the 100% the energy we get from Mark, I would say. And did Rick say Hermes? Because I saw some tweets.
Rick did say Hermes, and he also said, "quote It is something I talked about in therapy. Thanks for asking." What,
Wow.
Rick?
Rick had to tell
That
his
makes a
own
lot of.
therapist about his godly parent. Just
Oh
like
my
me, for real.
god.
Just like me.
I do feel like I remember sitting there and he said that. And I was like, when he said the therapy line, I was like holding the chair and I was like, oh my god, are we gonna talk about Luke? Is this where we're going today? What is But we didn't. We sure did not.
Whoa. I didn't even
We
think
left
about
it
that.
at that.
Wow.
Yeah, and the last thing that they talked about basically, Mark gave the big fandom speech that I was alluding to earlier, but they also wrapped basically somebody asked them about impact of the books. And Rick's answer was referring to a scene that I haven't read yet, but Erica has read between Nico and Piper about
Oh,
impact and
oh,
about
oh, oh.
the like responsibilities and meanings of carving a path in the world was the takeaway
Yeah.
I got from their conversation.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
Mark was like, that was when I wrote that scene, I was thinking about my like writing relationship with you. Like he said that to Rick.
Oh.
Isn't that
Oh
beautiful?
my god, I'm gonna cry the entire time tomorrow. I like I'm really excited. This has been so lovely and special. It's been so lovely and special to like see people we know not only at the event but like get to talk to them. Everybody, if you listen to Prophecy Radio, Karen from Prophecy Radio interviewed Rick and Mark tonight and they're going to have a special episode on that. Let us know if you were there, if you're going to another tour stop. And also I wanted to say because some people have already been reaching out to us about this, if you are not in a place where it is, safe for you to read this book, if you live at home with your parents or otherwise you're in a location where you can't read this book that is, openly queer and stuff like that, I hope that this can be a space for you to digest the content. So as we go through and talk about the book, starting like I think next week, we'll recap a few chapters at a time. And yeah, hopefully there's nothing incriminating about our podcast art or anything like that, and you can listen to this and we can share that space together. And yeah, I'm so excited to talk about this book. I am now, I guess,
Erica's finished it for context.
2 days from having finished it. I immediately, as soon as I finished it, I had nobody to talk to about it. Until I found out Karen had also read it, and then Karen and I got to talk about it. But I had no one to talk about it with, and I immediately just messaged Mark because I was like, "Who else am I going to say this to?" And Mark replied right away, and like we had a chit chat about the last scene in the book, which I can't wait to recount once we get there in several weeks. But yeah, this is going to be a really special time. I think I'm really excited. Yay!
Me too.
All
I'm gonna go
right.
read right now.
Yay! Carter's gonna go read. We're gonna get prepared to record the first few chapters. I think mentally it's gonna be 1 through 3. So if you're listening to this now and you're reading along, 1 through 3.
4.
4?
No.
Is that what I said?
4 is the end of the sequence.
Okay. Whatever Carter says goes. What Carter says is law. All right. 1 through 4. And if we don't get through 4, at least you're prepared. All right. Thank you, Carter, for making it all the way to the tour on your broken knee and all the way home to share this information with us. I'm so excited for the tour
Oh,
tomorrow night.
it was a great time. You're gonna have so much fun. They gave out
Oh,
T-shirts at our stop. I hope you get T-shirts, and
oh,
I hope the
everybody's getting
line isn't
t-shirts.
too long. Oh,
Embrace your
okay.
demons.
It was like a surprise for
That's
us.
fun. Stephanie literally leaked it on Twitter. It was very funny. She was like, "I can't wait to wear my shirt and be a groupie, um, at the tour." And then, like, 24 hours later, they were like, "Surprise, everyone's getting t-shirts." We will talk to you guys soon. I don't wanna overhype this book because I want everybody to go into it, with their own POV, but I had an excellent time, and I'm really feeling the love and the gratitude for Mark and Rick and Becky and Stephanie and everybody at Disney Hyperion and you guys and Carter and just being here.
First 4 chapters were busted. We'll
Period.
we'll keep going. Yeah.
Happy 16 years of Nico D'Angelo as of yesterday. And we'll talk to you all soon. See you next week.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.